Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my January 2021 reading stats. So, I have my trusty little sheets that I'm going to talk through, and I'll show you my book journal at the end. I do want to mention I did add a few categories in here that I will try to do monthly from now on. I found that combining a lot of the data at the end of the year was such a hassle. If I'd just done some of them during the year with the rest of my stats, it would have gone a lot faster. So I've decided to add a few in here to help me in the end to do those videos, to do the mid-year and the end of the year. So anyway, we'll see if it works out. Anyway, so let's just start. I'm going to go through my list. So first question is always, how many books did I finish? I finished 13. 10 of those were physical books. One of them was an audio, but that was one of my rereads, and then because I had three total rereads in January, so that was kind of a high month for me. Not overall, but just I don't usually read. I usually read 2 or 3, I guess. I don't know. Why am I thinking that? I don't know. But one of those was an audio, so I did want to mention that most everything was physical except for one, and that was a reread. I didn't read any manga or graphic novels this month. I think it's because I've been trying not to get stuff from my library quite so often. And I also just, the series that I'm waiting for the next book, I'm way on the list low, so I didn't get anything. I did DNF 3 books. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, how many, were on my TBR for the month? So again, I usually put 4 to 5 books. I had 5 books. I read 3 of them. 1 of them I DNF'd, and 1 of them I'm midway through still. So not the greatest, not my best. How many of the books were from my shelves of the new to me books? So 9 of them were books off my shelf because I read them all physically, and 1 of them was from the library. So that's a good percentage for me. I'm trying to read stuff off my shelf this year a lot more, and that I did. How many books was I currently reading when it changed months? I still had 3 books that I was in the middle of. So that's kind of, for me right now, it's between 2 and 3 a lot of times, and I hate that, but you know, and I usually have 1 book crossing over, but I mean, I have multiple books that I'm in the middle of that I put down and I need to get back to, so I still have 3. How many books did I buy this month? So this year, I am trying to curb my buying. It was working really well until this last week when I got kind of stressed out, but I only bought 9 books in January, and for me, that is super good. For me, January, not so much, but I mean, for me, 9 was pretty good. And then 2 of those I read. So one was one I had read previously, and I was just finally getting my own physical copy, and the other one I read during the month. So only 7 went on my TBR, so not as bad as it could have been. So, but my cost per book was $6.73 for those. That was the average. How many pages did I read? I read 4,041 pages, so that was a pretty good reading month for me. Average pages per day is 130.4. So for me, I want to be 50 pages per day on average all the time. So to be over 100 is always a good thing, and I get 130, which is awesome. So to me, that's a great average for the month. I did read a lot for me. The pages per book for the month, the average came out to 267. So I am reading some shorter books and longer books, but it seems my average is below 300, which is kind of surprising with what books I have. So it's going to be interesting. I wanted to keep this stat this year to kind of more see how long of books I'm reading, because I am reading longer books, but I'm also picking up a lot of shorter books. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. I was kind of surprised that it was so low. Because I thought a lot of the books I read were in the 300 range, so it was kind of weird. Let's see here. So how many I read? 4. So then counting for the whole 13 books that I read this month, rereads and regular books, I read 4 male authors and 9 females authors. So then I have 30.7% were male and 69.3% was female. So not anything new. That's kind of reasonable. But four of the books I read in the month, so 30.7% of my reading was translated works, which is awesome. That's not going to happen all the time, but I think the Invisible Cities Project is helping with that. So that is a good thing, but I was kind of excited to see that percentage was so high. For star ratings, I only had 1 5-star book, I had 6 4-star books, and I had 3 3-star books. So again, it's very rare for me to have a 1-star and a 2-star because I DNF quite frequently. Usually, if I don't like it, I'm not continuing to torture myself. So I don't usually have a lot of 1 and 2-star books. I mean, unless I force myself to finish something, but normally not. So again, that's pretty average for me to be really in the 4s. Is I read a lot of books that I enjoy that I might read again, so those are 4s. The genres I read. So I read quite a few different genres this month. I read a historical fantasy, memoir, social studies, classic, general nonfiction, paranormal romance, urban fantasy, and mystery. All those were 1s. I read 1 of those. I read 3 contemporaries. All those were translated works, which is why I was able to read them, because you know me and contemporaries don't work out. But again, if they're from somewhere else, I enjoy them. And then I read 2 historical romances. So I had quite a diverse, I think, reading month for me, which is what I normally do. So getting to my favorite book of the month, my only 5-star read so far this year is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. This is book 4 in the Bridgerton series. This is my favorite one so far. This one I liked all the way through. Compared to a lot of the other ones where there were issues with certain things or I didn't like certain parts of it, this one I liked almost everything. Like there's a few little quibbles, but really overall this was just a fun ride for, you know, historical romance. And again, it's book 4 in the series, so a lot of things happen in this one that's been leading up to it. And this was a couple I was just looking forward to, Penelope and Colin. I was just waiting for this one to happen. So this was still my favorite so far. I've only read 5 in this series, so I still have a couple more. But this was my favorite and my only 5-star read so far this year. And then my least favorite, and again, I didn't pick one of the ones I finished. I picked 2 of the books that I DNF'd because I hated both of them. 300 Days of Sun by Deborah Lawrenson. I think I was more disappointed by this one than anything. I don't even remember how far I got. I got 100 and some pages into it. And I just didn't like the direction it was going. And I didn't really like the characters. They just weren't doing much for me. They were making decisions. And then again, the last thing I read was about the main character lying to her ex-boyfriend when she didn't have to, about something that was ridiculous. Anyway, I just lost I didn't care. And then, of course, the major disappointment this month was As Bright as Heaven by Susan Meisner. I hated this book, and I was read this in a group with Tia and all the books, which was fantastic. I liked reading what everybody else liked and disliked about this, but I was definitely at the bottom. I was the only one who DNF'd it, but I did not like this book. These characters made me so angry about stupid things that I'm like, why? Why would you do that when... I don't know, again, and it comes down to age. That I think it was partly because half of the main characters were underage, very young girls, and I didn't really, like, if they'd been a little bit older, I probably could have held on, but because they were so young, and I was just like, I was annoyed. And some of the things that was going on, and again, it's about the Spanish flu, so it's 1918, so all that, she did that so well. There was so much good stuff in here in the beginning on how, and it, like, because this was written before our pandemic, so it was really interesting to see that she really called out some things that would happen, that had happened in the past, but also happened when we had ours. It was very interesting for that. I just could not stand the characters and their decisions. And it just got to the point where I was like, okay, that is it. I don't need to deal with this anymore. I was getting too angry about one of the daughters, her lying about something. Of course, again, lying is one of my biggest things. There has to be a really good reason for me or to believe it, but sometimes some of them just don't react well. So that didn't go so well. Anyway, so I DNF'd it while everybody else finished it, but at least some other people didn't like it so much, but man, I hated that book. Anyway, Oh, what am I doing? Okay, so just really quickly, I haven't found a way to film like a bullet journal or my, my book journal in a way that you guys can see it. Every time I do it, I flip my camera, or my phone, it flips the picture, so it doesn't work out. Anyway, so I have, as I said, I have started my journal, so I just have, I'm pretty pathetic. It's nothing like some of the others, don't worry. I have my reading goals, and so this is my books bought so far. There's my 9. Not too bad. We'll see how it goes. Again, I only have 1 5-star book. So here is my year in pixels. Sorry. So, my reading. So what I do is I track how much, so I always track my reading. Again, as I said, I try to get 50 pages a day. So, that is the color scheme. It's just the medium range is the greens and the, which is 51 to 100 pages a day. And then the slightly pink one, the pink ones are the 101 to 150, which is pretty typical of me. So you see those a lot more than some of the other colors, but there are other days where I read a lot more, and so a lot less. But I did not have any no read days in January. I'll definitely have some of those in February, so you'll see that come through. I have my list of the classics I want to read this year. Haven't finished anything yet. And then I just do a books read up to 80 because my Goodreads goal is 52. So I just like to show that at least I made over that, and because I read 10 new books to me, I was able to draw in 10. And then here's where I messed up already. So I'm going to do the shelf thing. And my key is the green is a physical book, the red is going to be ebook, and blue is audiobook. So what I did is I accidentally drew in my audiobook that I read that was a reread. That came from the library. It should have been over here. So this is actually, I had to put a note here that says that audiobook will be counted later when I read one of my own audiobooks. But anyway, so the rest are all the physicals I read. And then the 2, well, again, the reread also counts on here because it did come from my library. I want to track how many books I've finished from my library. So it's not going to actually add up to my total, but so I did make one mistake, which is why there's a note. And I'll draw it as I go. I didn't draw an in, that just takes too much time, but that's mine. But again, as I said, I want to track my books and the library. I want to see how I do. And then I have a series tracker. So again, I had to read the second book in the Honey Badgers Chronicles because I had accidentally marked this. So, but now I can, I'll be able to mark another one because I read another one. But yeah, so that's so far the series that I've touched this year. As soon as I do another one, the only one I didn't add to here was a reread. I did a reread of Bill Kreider's Sheriff Dan Rhodes series. I don't think I'm going to put that on here because that's a 25 book series that I don't plan to read all year. It's just a reread, so I'm not going to put that in here. I'm going to do mostly series that I'm actively reading. Anyway, then we go January, which I didn't do any washi. I forgot. I didn't get that far. And then it shows what I did on my TBR, that I did a couple, I DNF'd. But I finished 3, and I DNF'd 1. So anyway, so then this is my reading log. So this is how my reading looks through the year, or through that month. I had some really high days. Most of those are Sundays or weekends. So that's kind of typical. And again, that's a weekend too down there at the bottom. I read mostly on the weekend, and then during the week you can see my pages go up and down because I'm working. Anyway, so that is that. I did have my BookTube spin list was in here, and the one that's chosen. So, and again, February, I haven't started yet except to put my TBR in, and I'll do my reading log. So anyway, so that is it. I just wanted to show you that real quick. I wish I could get my phone to film looking down, but right now I haven't figured out the little trick to make it do that. It keeps flipping it around, or it flips the whole picture upside down when I tried to film it. It didn't work. Anyway, I don't know how you people do it. I don't know. I'm not that technologically advanced, clearly. I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, so that is it. Anyway, I hope that was fun. I guess we'll find out. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.